know, when we discuss public transport, sometimes some people feel it's like a boring topic. Like when we talk about Ayalolo and we keep insisting that spending money to just import buses without a transportation system is criminal. People feel, oh, you are making too much noise. You don't really know what you're talking about. So we import buses. But, you know, importing buses is not putting up a system. Importing buses is procurement. Because a system is how things are connected. You know, there are routes that must be preserved. The buses must function. There must be a payment system. You know, the buses must be of different grades. We don't have a public transportation system. 30 years of a democracy. It's a shame. All the public means of transport are privately owned.
Private, yeah.
The public ones are not working.
Yeah, we've run them aground.
The MMT, even GAPT. It's almost like we deliberately sabotage. For me, I think that we have to become radical. For me, one of the things we need to ask for in the next election is that no public official should be giving free fuel. Nobody should be giving free fuel. Everybody, see, if you can buy fuel from your salary, why can't the Minister of Finance do the same? Do you understand? Why we all have salary, and their salaries are public. Their salaries are more than yours. If you can buy petrol from your salary, why should somebody get free fuel? Why should somebody be given a fuel coupon to drive a V8 because your salary is lower than theirs? They don't pay rent. Do they?
I don't.
You, when it comes to rent, you are scratching your head. No, let's be honest here. You get me? Because if citizens are suffering, I mean, look at the movement of fuel prices from the 70s. I mean, there's an artwork that one of our team members did, and we are looking at just diesel.
Oh yeah.
From June.
The evolution of diesel prices.
Okay, let's look at petrol. What they call super.
Yes.
Premium motor spirit.
Yes. So from June, so for example, in June,
Charlie,
the first, so let's say about 10 cedis, 10.99. That was the maximum, or say 11 cedis. In July, we went to 11 cedis 30. In August, 11 cedi 15.
Yeah, I even look at the second pricing window.
I'm even looking at the second pricing window.
So if you do the first pricing window.
The first pricing window, we did 10 cedi 10. For June, right? Yeah. For
June. Per what?
Per
liter.
Per liter.
10 cedis.
10 cedis 10 pesos.
10 pesos per liter.
Per liter. In July, we went to 11 cedis 59 pesos.
So essentially 12 cedis.
Good. In August, we went 10.95.
Came back to 11.
In September, we did 11.55.
Okay.
October, we did 11.10.
Where are we in November?
We are in 17.99.
That's 18.
That's 18 cedis.
So if you move from 10 to 18 in 6 months.
6 months.
10 to 18 is about 80% increase. You know, nobody in this country's salary has increased by even 50%. Fuel has the greatest pass-through of all. Okay, so and I agree with Dr. Charles Reku probably on Eyewitness News 2 days ago that if the MPA cannot regulate fuel prices, it has no business just telling us that this is the reason why the price has gone up. Even Dr. Tiwe Champon can tell us that. So if the MPA's function is simply say, oh, this window, and now what they've done is that because they announced that thing, then Dankanama will come and say, yeah, in the second pricing window. No, guys, you see, this is very serious. Politicians use petrol gallons to campaign to win elections.
Oh, yeah, of course. Then
when they are in power, they decide that deregulation is something we've all agreed, and it means that we can't do anything about fuel prices. That's not true. Our peculiar challenge, Kokui, is that the inflation has many causes. Our inflation, some of it is imported because our economy is heavily import dependent. Yeah. But that's not the only reason. Listen to the lady that Enosafo spoke to in the market. You know, a few months ago, we did a show and we were asking why things are expensive in Ghana relative to other countries. And we gave about 5 factors. I remember they even voted. We said there was, I don't know, I think there was something to do with import dependence, fuel prices, and there was something called the Ghanaian pricing culture and exchange rate. I don't think it's even the pricing culture anymore. It doesn't make sense. Why should decision makers not... Because you see, in advanced countries, look, I was in Denmark. I was supposed to interview a minister in I think it was 2017. Some of the people in his office came on bicycles to work. You can see the weather is cool. They were wearing their suit and rode a bicycle to work. I was in Switzerland. Most of the people I met used the tram. In fact, very few people would drive their own cars to work in some of those countries.
Because it's even expensive.
In Ghana, we have not fought for public things to be done for us. Look at the trotros human beings sitting. That's why I was asking why you can't take trotro to work. Okay? Now, we say this and people think, why should somebody who's driving a V8 get free fuel? And I, who comes to clean his office, who lives at Kasua, there's no public way of bringing me to work. Why can't I sit on a train from Kasua to work? Why should I sit in a Trotsky and come and clean the office of somebody who, and he's working for me, is my servant? How will he make a decision to favor me? So I'm saying that we have to remove the pegs we attach. Because for me, the people, okay, why did MPs now say they will remove the finance minister? Why are MPs saying that they will remove the finance minister?
Because
didn't they know from 2 years ago that the borrowing was too much? You understand? So until the people feel it, they don't do what you want. They don't know, they don't understand what you mean by. I mean, how do you pay 18 CDs?
Hey, think about it. 18
how?
CDs. And
how do you pay that?
Just to put
and
things,
people are speaking English. MP is telling us pricing window something. What are you talking about?
The other day,
Stop. How are you giving people fuel? And they say they've cut down VAT. Why on earth should somebody who is paid almost 6 times what an average worker is paid get free fuel on top? Are we correct? And we are all singing and shouting about it. So all those groups that met the president the previous week, did they talk about these things? That you have to stop. Honestly, how do you give? Why should somebody get a fuel voucher? How do you subsidize the rich so that the poor will? Look, transportation fares have gone up. The poor use public. You haven't invested in public transport. You haven't reduced fuel prices, and you are giving fuel coupons to people who are driving V8s. Are you correct? Seriously, no. Let's be honest. And we are all sitting down and saying what? And we have allowed it. This system, if the government is serious about austerity, austerity must begin with cutting all these trappings. If you are going to rent a house, you don't rent a house because luckily,
you still continue.
My brother, somebody comes into office, he's given a free house, he's given a cook, he's given free car, he's given free transportation. How will he think about you in his decision making? Even Christ. They said because he wore flesh, he felt what we felt. That's how he was able to help us. If you don't feel what we feel, can you help us? When we talk about dollarization of rent, who owns the properties that is selling in dollars? Nathan, if we, you see, for me, if we don't, there are, you see, Ghana's problems, I know some of them are deep, some of them are complicated, but there are some that are very simple. You are spending too much on government that is ineffective. And because of that, they are insensitive to the people's plight.
They don't see it that way.
Oh, please.
Do they?
Well, it's because we don't tell them enough.
No, but Bernard, indeed, we don't.
Why, Godfrey? Why, we don't. You see, they don't listen to you. They listen to they listen to 2 things. Look at the people who have been assembled to go and meet the president ahead of the announcement last week. Banking managers, AGI, Guta, pastors. Did they call journalists?
No.
Did they call teachers?
I don't know.
Do they call trotro drivers? Maybe they call GPRT.
They call GPRT. But that was to discuss price.
My point is that we haven't learned to speak to power. We don't understand servant leadership. Right? So every time we go, and I'm not saying go and be rude. I'm saying that use facts to prove that the thing is not working. Okay? We haven't, when they come to your house that you should vote for them, why do you vote for them? Why do you cheer them? Maybe because they are from your hometown or they speak the same language. Maybe that's what empowers them to do. In which society will you have a system that subsidizes government officials? Now every director somewhere has a V8.
There are a lot of them.
A director of entities that don't even do anything. I mean,
that's what.
Take the Ghana register. Take the Ghana register and look at the number of government entities there are. There are some you haven't even heard of. National Archives and Monuments. You'll be shocked that the CEO there, he also gets free fuel.
Just that.
Oh, there are so many.
Let me annoy you more.
If you go through,
I've met a couple of state officials who have security escort, and I ask myself,
who is trying to be?
Who's coming to get you with the position that you hold? Like you said, you might meet the hypothetically.
Yeah.
You'll be sure that you meet the museum's director, but and he has a policeman holding his file.
Meanwhile,
for what?
Meanwhile, there are large swathes of this country which are under police.
Which don't have policemen.
People have been given police officers to stand by them.
And hold their handbags.
So when they are coming for interview, the policeman is looking. Meanwhile, you go to just drive out of Accra. So I am saying that for me, the citizens have also allowed this to continue. Because honestly speaking, you cannot subsidize. Okay, if you are in an austerity program, where is 30% salary? What do you mean 30% salary? Godfred, if I used to pay you 4,000, even 5,000 cedis, if I used to pay 5,000 cedis in 2020 post-COVID, that 5,000 cedis is worth like it's worth like 800 cedis.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's the truth is that if we actually discount our earnings on the basis of inflation, you get me? Totally. So the 12 measures that were announced, I don't even see. This is not an austerity plan. And you see, I made this point. We have three things. We have borrowed too much. If your revenue doesn't meet your expenditure, there are two things you do. This one is very simple. Though. You earn 1,000 cedis and you spend 1,500 on your living expenses. There are two things you can do. You can either let Godfred give you 500 cedis, so you get the 500, but that's borrowing. But the international market say you are not credible, so we'll give you 500. So that 1,000 cedis that you earn, you have to raise it to 1,500. You can't steal because you'll be arrested. So what do? You lower the 1,500. You say that 1,500, no, we won't buy this thing. Coconut, we won't buy coconut oil, it's too expensive. We'll buy a different kind of oil. We'll reduce our expenditure to 900 cedis. So I have 1,000 cedis to 100 cedis to save. This is the same as a country. You have your expenditures are high, your revenue are low, and you can't tax us anymore. Because after the tax they won't pay. you can't, so you can. So in the 1,000 cedi example, the government introduced e-levy. People revolted, but they are still paying VAT and all these things. The thing that happened in Kumasi. So in the Ghana example, government is very constrained in raising revenue. Government cannot borrow externally. The logical thing to do is to cut down on expenditure. That's what an austerity program means. Now, an austerity program will not work if the people taking the decision don't bear the brunt of the cut.